I heard from my students. Okay, doctor. I think we are recording. Tamam. So we can start, inshallah. How, by the way, how was your iftar? What time now?
We just start our iftar actually at 6 p.m. or 2 p.m. at your time. Yeah, but doesn't matter. I have done already.
Okay,
yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Carry on, doctor.
So, my dear students, of course, you already know Dr. Dimas, but let me introduce you again. Dr. Dimas is our dear lecturer from Universities Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, and inshallah, Dr. Dimas, coming semester, 5 of these beautiful students will be visiting your campus. And your students will be visiting Kritokarata University. Dr. Dimas, at the same time, is Director of International Program for Islamic Economics and Finance. Dr. Dimas, before I give floor to you, I want to give some brief introduction to our lecture today. Hello. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, first of all, the topic of today's lecture is current trends and development of Sukuk market in Indonesia. And my students are, they are third-year students, and they're attending my Islamic capital market class. Last week, we already covered in general what is Sukuk, and we cover what is Sukuk Ijara. We didn't study many structures of Sukuk yet, but in general, my students, they know how Sukuk market works, what is Islamic capital market, what are the products. So, and today we will know more about Islamic capital market in general and Sukuk market in Indonesia. Let me share with you a little bit facts about Indonesia. Indonesia is officially, official name of Indonesia is Republic of Indonesia. Is a country in Southeast Asia and Oceania between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Indonesia consists of 17,000 islands, and it's the world's largest island country. It's a very beautiful country. It's 14th largest country by area, and the population of Indonesia is 270 million. And Indonesia, as you know, it's the largest Muslim populated country. En büyük Müslüman ülke ahali olarak. Okay, now I will also, we study this chart in our business English program. So I will also share about the IFDI market, about IFDI, Islamic Finance Development Indicator. And we have to share that Indonesia today is #2 by ranking, following Malaysia. When it comes to the education, Malaysia and Indonesia are leading the whole world in knowledge sector, which comes when it comes to the publications, to education provider and research done in Indonesia. You should be very proud, doctor. What happened? Well, another fact, among the countries that published a lot more Islamic finance research papers is Indonesia, that notably had an upstick in English journal articles, and the country's higher number of research papers is in line with the large pool of Islamic finance education providers, which is in line with the government's National Sharia Economy and Finance Committee. Next, Doctor, I will ask you maybe during your presentation to tell my students a little bit about NEXT and how it is important to have such body in a country to uplift Islamic finance in general. Well, now when we look at the Sukuk market, we know that Sukuk comes second after Islamic banking as capital in the size of assets, and Indonesia today is #3 country for the Sukuk value outstanding. And Indonesia also issued a Nobel Sustainability Sukuk with USD 750 million. By the way, it's a 30-year tenor paper, which is the longest green tenor Sukuk up to date. So, Doctor, we also expect talk about Sukuk market, about green Sukuk issuances, why they are so much important in Indonesia, and also about blockchain Sukuk, which is one of the novel structures introduced by in Indonesia, which is Blossom Sukuk. So this is from me. Doctor, the floor is yours, and we are looking forward to learn from you today. Yes, please.
Okay, doctors. Let I share my slide here.
You can share, right?
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Wa la hawla wa la quwata illa billah. Rabbi shrahli sadri wa yassir li amri. Wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Respected my dear colleagues, my friends, my senior, Dr. Kamula. Again, we meet again, the second chance of this couple of weeks. And my dear sisters and brothers, Sister Kubra, Sister Fadimana, and others that right now you are joining us virtually at University Muhammadiyah Jakarta. So let me just share with you here 38 slides. That this slide is not quite hard slide because I show you so many pictures, graphs, and also demonstrating to you some empirical facts that concerning with the Sukuk market in Indonesia. Whereby in Sukuk Indonesia, by the way, since 2014, Indonesia tries to be the leading sovereign Sukuk issuer in the world. Yeah, so Dr. Kamula just now mentioning about so many structures. We will just a little bit explain later on what the structures that has been conducted in Indonesian stock market, in Indonesian Sukuk markets. So let me start with this list of presentation. We have Sukuk and Islamic finance. We have managing how to manage sovereign Sukuk, and the prospect of sovereign Sukuk itself. Let me start with this, just snapshot. Yeah, you know that the Islamic finance market actually comprises of the two main categories: Islamic capital markets and Islamic banking and financial institutions. We may say that Islamic market is direct markets, in Islamic banking and financial institution is indirect markets. Because here Islamic bank and financial institution will intermediate the fund from the deficit to the surplus, but the Islamic capital market here directly can be obtain the fund directly from the stock markets. So here we have two kind of markets: Islamic bonds or Sukuk markets, and we have Islamic equity markets. So we now focus on this part: Islamic bonds or Sukuk markets. And here the Sukuk, the rule of Sukuk here, I think quite more importance in the mid of pandemic as well. For your information, Dr. Kamula, our government currently, because of the pandemic, we broaden the deficit interval, doctor, from 3% of GDP right now almost close to the 5 or 6% of the GDP. So this deficit is quite big because of the spending needed to combat the virus. So the government over the last few months or 4 years tries to upgrade and update the rule of Sukuk as the alternative how to raise funds from the capital markets. And this is the advantage. I don't want to discuss it further. I think the advantage of Sukuk is how to alternative sources of financing continues to increase, due to various advantage. You can read by your own later on. And here is the development of the Sukuk markets. I'm not having enough time to update the data, but for the last few years, since 2009, you see that the development of the Sukuk market in Indonesia quite tremendous. So in here you have 88.1 USD here, billions. And from this amount, sisters and brothers, sovereign Sukuk dominated the structures of the Sukuk markets. So you can see here the sovereign Sukuk is 57%, and supranational Sukuk less than 2%, corporate only 29%, and the last one is government-related entities. So it means that the government of Indonesia very, very enthusiastic, yeah, and very have a great expectation that Sukuk could be the alternative how to get the financing. And here we go to the structures. Dr. Kamula in the beginning talking about the structures of the Sukuk. So you can see in Indonesia, yeah, by the data of 2014, the Sukuk issuance by structures dominated by Murabaha Sukuk. Yeah. So I guess here why Murabaha Sukuk is dominant here, because in Murabaha Sukuk we have the underlying asset. Yeah. We guess that whatever Sukuk that the government tries to issue, the investors remains quite vigilant in terms of the risk. Yeah. So by taking the Murabaha, it means that the assets still maintained and still there. In the case of the vault, so the asset could be guaranteed and then can be captured the loss in case of the loss there. And Musyarakah only 6%, Salam 1%. Second one is Ijarah. Ijarah here also quite interesting, yeah, 20.9%. Given that Ijarah here will give us other kind of the structures, how the Ijarah here can promote the asset, yeah, to be more attractive to be invested. And the next one is about how we see the Indonesian positions in the ASEAN countries. Dr. Kamula in the beginning has shown the issuance of Sukuk, yeah, in some GCC countries and some emerging countries. So in the case of ASEAN, Southeast Asia, for example, yeah, so Malaysia is the leader of the Sukuk issuance, yeah, in particular the foreign Sukuk here. So almost 93% Malaysia, yeah, here quite dominant, and followed by Indonesia and Singapore, yeah, and Darussalam. So if you look at the total sovereign Sukuk worldwide, yeah, in millions, so Indonesia still the second largest, yeah, but here the data is not updated. But but overall, we can see that Indonesia issues sovereign Sukuk since 2008. And has now become a sovereign Sukuk issuing country's second largest in the world right now. Yeah, and in terms of the sovereign Sukuk distribution here, Southeast Asia become the largest. Yeah, compared to the East Asia, Europe, yeah, Middle East, Asia, even maybe Turkey. I don't know. Turkey, we guess, still not quite much. Yeah, in terms of the Sukuk issuance. And the next one is just history. Why Malaysia becomes the leader of Sukuk issuance? Yeah, so quite interesting discussion actually when we were studying there. So the brief history: Malaysia has already established the Sukuk since 1990. Yeah, very early, and Indonesia since 2008. Yeah, I don't know in Turkey, doctor. What year you started develop the Sukuk, doctor?
Okay, in Turkey, by the way, Turkey is number 6, doctor, in Sukuk issuance. It's quite good. The first corporate Sukuk was issued by Kuwait in 2010. And first sovereign Sukuk was issued by Khazanah, our treasury, in 2012.
Okay, so it means that quite more developed, yeah. Yes. Turkey right now trying to catching up the other countries. And Murabaha Sukuk is the again the dominant sectors in Malaysia, and also the characteristic of Sukuk in Malaysia here, the structure of the Murabaha Sukuk dominates again Murabaha, and variation of Sukuk structure is Bai'ina, yeah, Bai' Bitaman Ajil, Tawarruk, Istithna, yeah, Murabah, and others. So the same with the product of banks, I guess, yeah. So Bai'ina, BBA, Tawarruk is the most prominent and quite dominant sectors, not only just in banking sectors, but also in Sukuk market. I guess it is because of the risk structures of the Murabah, yeah, so Tawarruk or Istithna. Okay, we can cover the loss, yeah, in the case of the vault. And the portion of corporate Sukuk issuance is quite high, although it is still below the issuance of sovereign Sukuk. So it means that in Malaysia, the role of the corporate Sukuk quite advanced, yeah. as well as the sovereign suku as well. So what the criticism of the suku in Malaysia here? I think we do agree that the use of bayi inah here quite dominant, and buying and selling gap in the secondary markets, yeah, and although in Malaysia but prohibited by IOF, yeah, here. And lesson learned from Indonesia here, full support, top up, yeah, top down, bottom up, yeah, and the focus of strategy, adequate infrastructures. Right now, Dr. Kamula mentioned about in EKS. So by the way, KNIKS is under President of Indonesia, Doctor. It was established in 2019 under the President's decree, yeah, and the President as the head of this committee, and the Vice President as the head of the top management as well there, and also it was backed up by some ministry as well. So the NKS here is the look like the SPV, special purpose vehicles, that establish how to promote and maybe accelerate the process of development in Islamic finance. And the second part is state of Sukuk management here. You see here, sisters and brothers, that if you see the state budget financing instrument, Sukuk actually related to the state budget financing instruments, because the state here has lacked in terms of the income or revenues from the tax. So the government tries to look for other sources of funds. Yeah. In this case, we differentiate, yeah, to make you easy to understand. So we have government securities, we have the loan, yeah, and the loan here is not discussed here, but the government securities is divided into two: government securities and Sharia securities or Sukuk. And here we have domestic and international. And in domestic, we have a short-term Sukuk, and we have mid-long Sukuk. And mid-term long here, we have institutional investors and individual investors or retail investors. So right now, by the way, Terkamula in Indonesia, the individual investors getting increase, yeah, because of the amount of Sukuk sold by the government is quite cheap. In Indonesian rupiah, this retail Sukuk was sold around 1 million rupiah. Yeah, in 1 million rupiah, you can get retail Sukuk. And the duration, the tenure is around 5 years until 10 years. And the percentage of returns is quite competitive compared to the bonds. So therefore, Indonesia so far has released more than 10 times Sukuk retail. Yeah, because they have a series. Sukuk retail Indonesia SRI number 1, number 2, number 3. Right now, mistaken, has been 13 or 14. So has been 14 times, yeah, since 2008. So this one is the state of Sukuk Islam programs. You can read later on. And here just the route maps, yeah, the route map of Sukuk development. We started in 2008, yeah, and now 14. But if you continue to right now, the Sukuk has been transformed into green Sukuk right now. Kamula has heard before green Sukuk. We have also sustainable Sukuk, yeah, whatever. Yeah, so the Sukuk here has been moved towards the SSG, environmental, government, and mistaken one, economics, yeah, sustainability. And this one is the realization so far, yeah. So has been tremendously increased since 2008, and now getting increased until 2021 because of the type of currency that traded is rupiah and US dollars. So we have two currencies in place, doctors. Look like you mentioned last time about inflation. So so US dollar also here is accepted, not only Turkish lira. Yeah? So that why the transaction of the Sukuk here quite tremendously increasing, and it can be obtained through auctions, book building, and private placement method. It means that the system of how to transact this Sukuk is quite flexible. And here, the standing Sukuk, by the way, is in the currency note here. I mean that the state Sukuk here is quite the standing is quite much here, 7%. Domination here in rupiah 70% and USD, yeah, only 30%. and the tradability here can be traded easily and not traded here quite low. So it means that the Sukuk in Indonesia is built to be more flexible and try to accommodate the need of the society, how the government can get the money easily then. And here is the international financial markets. Yeah, you can see that Indonesia the second one, Turkey the sixth, but I guess because the data is not updated, I guess the Turkey has been moved maybe better. Yeah, and in terms of standing here, Indonesia still quite much, followed by United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and others. And here is the another infrastructures. Yeah, so the Sukuk, why the Sukuk is developed well? I guess Turkamula also in Turkey has conducted the same strategy because of the harmonization between the legal infrastructures, instruments, underlying asset structures, and fatwa. So in this case, the fatwa here under Majelis Ulama Indonesia (MUI) that will release the fatwa how to make the Sukuk is affordable and also comply with the Sharia. And the next one is this is the list of fatwa regarding the Sukuk. We have so many structures of Sukuk, sale and leasebacks, yeah, ijara, wakala. So most of the Sukuk that has been released here related with the murabahah contract actually. And the last one, I guess, is the potential and prospect of the state Sukuk. How the future here. So I guess here that in Indonesia we have supply, demand, and so many markets, yeah? And also the market here. So domestic here, the development of Sukuk, we have product developments, yeah, supply building, market infrastructures, investors building, yeah. So all of these infrastructures are building our Sukuk development. And here is the just overview of our balance sheet of the country. So Dr. Kamula in 2014, basically our state revenue is 1,600 trillion rupiah. I don't know in Turkish lira, but not so much actually. And here is 16% of the GDP. But the expenditures here is more than always deficit over the last 10 years, always deficit. And right now becomes around 3 and 4% of GDP. And from this deficit, the government look for some financing sources. If you see here, we have financing from debt, and the debt here coming from government securities and the foreign loan and others. So most of them coming from government security. So it means that the government released the bonds, released the Sukuk, yeah, that sold to the central bank, sold to the another parties, yeah, or the retails, yeah, institution. So it come up with, it makes quite much and significance here, almost 2% of the GDP coming from the government securities. And this is the legal basis. And in the project financing here, so you see that the realization of the Sukuk Negara or the sovereign Sukuk here goes to the project financing. Yeah, and here you can see that the project financing here is constructed to build up the route, yeah, and Hajj hostel, yeah, and also development of construction of the train, yeah, package and others, yeah. So it means that the Sukuk here goes to the real sectors, yeah. And I think the detail here. Okay, the last one, I guess I will go to this one. So here is the structures of the Ijara Sukuk, yeah, sale and leaseback, yeah. So you see here, the first is the sale asset. Yeah, so we have the SPV, special purpose vehicles, yeah, the one that issuer and the trustee of the Sukuk, yeah. And here the first is the sale of asset, yeah, the MOF here, Government of Indonesia, for example, as the obligor or originator of the Sukuk. So they send the asset to the SPV, yeah, and this SPV will issue the sukuk that will be given to the investors, and when the investors here obtain the sukuk here, so the investors here will give the payment, it means that the return to the SPV, and the SPV here also will give back to the government. So it means that the asset here actually is leased, by the government here and used in order to be more productive, so that it can get the return and then will promote the activities, economic activities. And here, once the government is maturity has been there, so the asset will be the sukuk here, the investors will redeem the sukuk, and then the sale of sukuk will go to the government as well. So it means that the government here just lease the asset, and let the SPP use the asset, and then the asset will be transformed into sukuk, and then the sukuk here will be used to finance many activities. And in the end of the day, once the maturity has been there, so the asset will be sold back to the government. And I guess the last one, because the time is limited, Doctor, so I go to this one. The last one is here, I think the award, that in terms of the sukuk issuance in Indonesia over the last few years, I guess that so many awards that given by another parties to Indonesia. So it means that the Islamic bonds here or sukuk market in Indonesia is prospect and then credible. So here so many awards that has been given over the last few years. I guess it's all, Dr. Kamula, for a while. I need some advice, discussions, information sharing for you and also the other students. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Dimas, for your presentation. And actually, it's interesting, especially when it comes to SRI. At the beginning, I thought it is social responsible investment, but it stands for Sukuk Retail Indonesia. And also, how you call Sukuk Indonesia? Is it state Sharia securities? What is the name of Sukuk in Indonesia? Do you call it as a Sukuk?
Yeah, Sukuk. We call Sukuk,
Just Sukuk?
Yeah, just Sukuk,
I mean, in all your documents, material,
so we call it Sukuk.
In Bahasa,
Sukuk Negara or Sukuk retail, like that. So we call it Sukuk there. No Islamic bonds, but Sukuk.
Okay, good. Because in Turkey we don't, for now, for time being, we don't use term Sukuk. We use kira sertifikaları, which literally translated as ijara certificates or like lease certificates, not Sukuk. Okay, Doctor, actually I want to know more about, I read about Blossom Sukuk, which is, because when it comes to the retail Sukuk technology, I read that in Indonesia, a retail Sukuk was enabled by the advancing of technology. And when you, especially when you are using blockchain technology or tokens, you are issuing Sukuk in form of tokens. Make it, Ebrar, telefonu kapatabilir misin? Ses kapatabilir. Can you tell us about Blossom Sukuk, which is Vakf linked Sukuk, I guess. So I read about, but I don't know. I don't have much deep knowledge about that. I would really appreciate, because it's a type of new issuance, which is brand new in the whole world. Thank you.
Yeah. So Indonesia right now, by the way, released another some structures of Sukuk called Wakaf link Sukuk, like that, and then stock market link Sukuk, and also the Sukuk that link to the other instruments. So actually, this one, doctors, in Indonesia, you see that so many sectors, and also we have so many financing projects that need to be financed. So, but however, the literation of Indonesian people still not that good, still in the process of literations. So the government recently tries to increase the literation by linking the sukuk with another instruments, such as the sukuk, wakaf link sukuk, for example. So these new instruments give the chance for the people not only just giving the money for the traditional activities, for example, just wakaf for example, just building a mosque or others, but you can use the instrument here, yeah, to be developed and then linking to the sukuk activities. I mean that the asset, yeah, the underlying asset that they have, it can be traded, yeah, and then the return will be given back to the beneficiaries. Yeah, so it does mean that in the mid of zakat apa wakaf link suku or stock link suku, so the asset that obtained, yeah, from the market here is traded and also promoted into financial transactions, and then the return of this one will be given back to the society that needs. For example, in the case of wakaf, yeah, because in the case of wakaf, you see that the initial asset cannot be reduced, isn't it? So this asset, this wakaf asset, could be in the form of suku, yeah. So this suku is traded and promoted, yeah, in the financial structure, financial activities or markets. But the return of the suku cannot be only be used, but the initial suku cannot be reduced in terms of the amount. So all in all, basically, the suku that promoted and developed by Indonesian governments actually how to improve the economic activity by the society. And you see that Indonesian people, 2,270 millions, yeah, almost 4 times from Turkish citizens, and 85% are Muslims. And from the 85% here, more than 30 million people still below the poverty lines. So this is a challenge then, how to make the financial instrument, Islamic financial instruments, can improve the society that majority are Muslims. So this is a challenge, doctor, actually.
I see. So can we say that in Indonesia, government sector is leading the sukuk market compared, they are more active?
Yeah. So therefore, since 2014, under the government of under President Joko Widodo, he developed so many institutions. One of the institutions is KNKS or KNKS.
Yes.
And also recently, also the government under President Joko Widodo also established bank micro, Islamic micro banks, yeah, or bank wakaf, like that. So many institutions that related to Islamic finance, yeah, and all in all, these institutions is the media how to promote the growth of Islamic finance. So I guess the government of Indonesia is inspired by the Malaysian governments, whereby the top-down mechanism is quite effective compared to the bottom-up structures. And even right now, doctor, by the way, the hedge fund, yeah, the hedge fund of Indonesia that previously deposited in the conventional banks has been gradually moved to the Islamic banks. Yeah. So it's been that, and even recently, I guess in 2021 or 2020, we merged 3 banks into single banks.
Yes.
You heard, yeah, about Bank Syariah Indonesia. So becomes top 10 bank, Islamic bank in terms of assets, yeah, accumulation.
State-owned bank, right? Also state-owned bank.
Yes, state-owned bank. So it merged from the 3 corporate government banks. The first is Bank Muamalah Indonesia. Second one is Bank Nasional Indonesia Syariah. And the third one is Bank Rakyat Indonesia Syariah. So these 3 banks merged into single called Bank Syariah Indonesia.
Bank
This one.
Sharia.
So the government right now, I don't know why they are so committed and trying to establish the giant institutions, by the way, and backed by the committee that I mentioned before of KNIKS. So this KNIKS actually try to mediate between the markets, the governments, stakeholders, academicians, and others, so that they are in the same ways, in the same direction. Even the roadmap has been developed actually. So the roadmap of Indonesian Islamic finance until 2025, they have already established. Yes, right.
Very good. Because if you remember, back like a few years ago in Malaysia, we used to talk about mega bank. Malaysia has this plan to launch the mega Islamic bank. Do you remember? To have this giant Islamic bank which will serve the whole Islamic world. But I guess with all these initiatives in Indonesia, and because I was personally very much influenced by the next, and I can see the results, like when it comes to the support to universities, because sometimes what we see when government initiates any type of support initiative, it will mainly focus on the industry. The focus will go direct to industry. But first time I see so much support of government, not only to industry. Of course, they are doing a lot. Like this Bank Sharia Indonesia is a mega project, in my opinion. It will really lead Indonesia to be the leader in Islamic finance. I think in a few years, we will see you as ranking #1. But also, so much support is given to education. I'm honestly impressed, and actually I want to write some report to take this example for us as well, for Turkish case. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Dimas. Now we have our students who are waiting to ask you questions. My dear students, you can raise your hands and ask your question. It can be related to today's presentation, or it can be related to any topic in Islamic finance which you want to learn how it is different in Indonesia. Please, the floor.
Okay, Ebrar, we have a question, Ebrar.
Ebrar is in her.
Ebrar look like you, doctor. She was quite in terms of the knowledge, in terms of active participations, also in my class. Yeah, very active. Yeah, so many questions raised during the discussions in my class. Yeah, Ebrar, do you have any question, Ebrar? Or maybe Ali? Yes, Ali.
Ali is here.
Or maybe Sersan. Please. Or you want to...
I have a...
Yes, please. Yes, please.
And those who have question, you can just raise your hand. Elinizi kaldırabilirsiniz çocuklar. Ben size döneceğim. Yes, Suat, please. Suat has a question.
I have a question for Dr. Dimas, madam. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, can.
Good. Okay, I'm asking. Sir, first of all, I would like to thank you for your reliable explanation. It was very useful. Thank you. My question is, do the governments of Islamic countries use Sukuk as a debt instrument instead of the bonds? How is the situation in Indonesia? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sister
Brother.
Suat, yeah. Okay, so you see right now. Yeah, so you see right now, sisters and brothers, in Indonesia right now, the deficit is quite very seriously problems. So we have around 4% percentage of deficit in the GDP because of the pandemics. Yeah, and the government right now trying to increase the tax. Yeah, but the tax is not that much. Yeah, because the purchasing power of the parity of the people is not that good in the mid of the pandemics. So the other ways is how to increase the loans. Yeah, either bilateral loan or multilateral loan. Yeah, but unfortunately, in the mid of current pandemic, the countries around the world also have the same situation, whereby they are also happen to be very difficult in terms of financial management. So the other one that the government choose is by releasing the retail suku. Yeah, if you can search in internet, brothers and sisters, retail suku in Indonesia is tremendously increasing. Yeah, retail suku. So this retail suku has been released for more than 13 times. Yeah, since 2018. And once it is released, yeah, it was released by the governments, the period of between the offering until the amount, yeah, that has been finished, yeah, by the purchasing, yeah, is quite fast. Yeah, so the period is very fast. It means that the motivations of the people to purchase the suku here is retail suku, is quite high because of what? The guarantee of the governments. Yeah, and other one is because of the returns of the suku is quite increased. Yeah, quite high. Yeah, more than 5 or 7%, if I'm mistaken, the return of the suku, and it gives another chance for the governments to increase more and more. Yeah. And the last one is the Sukuk retail here is quite easy, yeah, easy to be obtained. So the government just release, yeah, through the website, yeah, and also once 1 week or 1 month, holas finish, yeah. So this is the one how the government top up or narrow down the gap, the deficit, and I guess in the future, the trend of the retail suku will be the prospect is quite interesting, yeah. And also the last one is the government tries to ask the loan, yeah, not from foreigners, yeah, but from their own citizens, yeah, because of the risk. Taking a loan from other countries is quite dangerous, yeah. If moreover in the mid of uncertainty right now, yeah, because you see, brothers and sisters, suku here in terms of the returns still not have the, the benchmark. I think Tangamola here can explain to you more. The benchmarking of suku returns in I don't know, Indonesia or whatever, still refer to the conventional benchmark. Yeah, we're still looking for, yeah, the Islamic benchmarks. Yeah, since then, if you look at the return between the Islamic bank and conventional bank, they are quite look like similars. Yeah, so if you increase the return in Islamic bank, conventional bank also the same, yeah, and the way around. So it does mean that the return of the suku here still referring to the another conventional instruments. So it does mean that if you take the loan from other countries, yeah, so it means that the risk become more compared to the citizen itself. So I guess like that all, brother Suat.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully I answer your question.
Actually, last time we already studied with my students because I'm giving them 2 classes, 2 courses. One is ICM, Islamic Capital Market, and second is Business English. And you rightly pointed, we already covered this topic on secured over non-financing rate, which is SOFR Sukuk, was issued by ISDB in 2020. It is first SOFR linked Sukuk, which is alternative. It is, again, it's conventional benchmark. However, the difference of SOFR and LIBOR, the main difference was that LIBOR is more speculative. It's just based on the benchmark received from few big banks and the average of that. Okay, now Ebrar has question, doctor. Yes, Ebrar, the floor is yours, please.
Okay, first of all, thank you for Dr. Dimas for your introduction. Actually, I was wondering about this after the news that Tekaful will be abolished. So I have a question about Tekaful. has Indonesia developed a product against the takaful product? I mean, what is the product to be used instead of takaful? I was wondering about like that.
Yeah, takaful Indonesia is not. Yeah, this the new new instrument, but it's been developing so far. But it's not that much. Yeah, in takaful. Because you see in Indonesia right now, the people still not well educated. Yeah, for that. Even myself as well. I don't have any insurance instruments. Yeah. So I just follow what they from my office. Yeah, but not personally apply for the takaful instruments. Yeah, because some of Indonesian people here just believe that, yeah, we just ask for the Allah mercies, so we don't need to be covered if in the case of loss, because it's Allah perhaps has already yeah, get us to that. Yeah, so but in terms of the instruments, for sure it is developing, yeah, right now, but not quite progressive. Yeah, and even the takaful company in Indonesia right now, in particular in Islamic ones, they try to merge with the conventional counterparts. It means that if you have the conventional instruments, these conventional instruments have the brands, yeah, with the Islamic values, Islamic benchmark. So, for example, we have a prudential insurance. So this prudential has Islamic prudential, like that. So not the own companies established the takaful itself, but the company that has the own takaful benchmark, yeah, they have, but not that increasing tremendously. But this takaful, in my understanding, I guess because of the people here still have the same paradigm that the takaful and the conventional insurance, they look alike. Yeah, they don't understand about the concept of tabarruat. Yeah, tabarruat, how we cover each other in the takaful, isn't it? And also in the case of loss, the takaful fund is covered by another participants. Yeah, and this takaful is invested with another company, so that the returns can be given to the depositors. So we have takaful family. We have takaful, so many type of takafuls. Yeah, but so far, yeah, still under developments. Albert.
How many Islamic banks you have, Dr. Dimas, right now? After this,
so in Indonesia right now, we have around 14 or 13 banks, Islamic banks, doctors.
And what is the share of Islamic banks within the whole banking system?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Asset share of Islamic banks in the banking system.
So far, last time still below 10%. Still 6%, doctor. Yeah,
it's interesting.
And it is,
because
it is quite hard. I don't know, doctor. Over the last 20 years, when I was in bachelor degree, the percentage is 4%, 5%, 6%. Cannot be exponentially growth, doctor. Even though we have so many Muslims, so many instruments right now, but
largest Muslim country, and
I think because of the conventional bank growing faster compared to the Islamic bank.
Actually, I think we have the same problem like in Turkey. I will go back, not only growing faster, but to the public awareness. The problem goes for awareness, because like you say, just mentioned about takaful, people are not educated enough. They don't know much about the difference, about the product, alternative products. And I guess it should be, maybe we can conduct one joint research as to Muslim countries with a majority of Muslim population, and Indonesia being the biggest Muslim country in the world. So what's the problem? Maybe I think we will get very interesting results. One more question from me, then I will give to Brother Swat. He wants to ask a second question. You mentioned that Sukuk issued by government, the state-owned Sukuk, when it comes to the structure of Sukuk, it is Murabaha, right? Murabaha is the leading Sukuk structure in issuances. Now, another question, because in Malaysia, the second market for Murabaha Sukuk is allowed. You also mentioned. Meanwhile, IOF doesn't allow the second market for Murabaha. It's not tradable, basically. Murabaha Sukuk is not tradable. How in Indonesia? Because in Malaysia, it is tradable. Is it tradable in Indonesia?
Yeah, doctors. I mentioned to you just now in the slide that there's a tradable and untradable. So
Yeah.
in Indonesia, because of the Sukuk, Murabaha here is asset back, yeah, asset back or asset back Suku, yeah. So so the asset still there, yeah. So as the asset still there, so the Suku here is backed by the asset, so that the asset here can be tradable, yeah, in the case of the valve, for example. So in that case, I guess that Murabaha in this case is, I think, the same with what Islamic banks is doing right now, is how to obtain the much huge benefits, but with lower risk. Yeah, with lower risk. So in other part of the world, the Islamic banks or in other Islamic financial institutions, the Murabaha here remains the dominant and strong instruments in whatever Islamic instrument, either Suku, commercial banks, yeah, whatever, yeah. So Murabaha is the first.
Now,
in
Turkish context, Murabaha is #1 product when it comes to the banking products. But when it comes to Sukuk issuances, still the dominant structure is Ijara, Sukuk al-Ijara. Because what we know from Murabaha structure, normally, yes, there is asset during the transaction, but we will sell this asset. Actually, until the maturity, there is no underlying asset. That's why in Malaysia, maybe it's Malaysian style, because in Malaysia, that's why they call Murabaha Sukuk also BBA. It's more like Ba'al-Ina Sukuk. So at the end, there is no structure. They didn't cover Murabaha, my students. We will cover, so maybe when we cover that structure, I will explain them more. But normally, that's why IOF doesn't allow the second market for Sukuk al-Murabaha. Okay, Suat, do you have question? And
yes,
any other questions, students? Hadi çocuklar.
Yes. I have also a question. Student here. By the way, we have Brother Rafi, Friska, Latifa. Yeah. If you have a question as well, students, to Dr. Kamula, feel free to ask questions. Yeah.
Okay, always. Yes, Brother Swat, please.
Can you hear me, madam?
Can, yes.
Yes, please.
I have a question for Dr. Dimas. Sir, why can't Muslim countries set their own reference rates? In this way, Sukuk rates are not based on by LIBOR or SOFR. Thank you very much.
So why Islamic countries don't have reference?
Their own benchmark, Dr. Like,
their own benchmark. Yeah. Okay. So my short answer is here, Brother Swat. You see that Islamic finance and conventional finance, they have their own different paradigms. In conventional finance, the return here is based on the monetary returns. Yeah. So overall, look from what extent the money is compounded, is grown, with the interest rate. But in Islamic finance, we focus and we concern more to the real sectors. Yeah. So in economic point of view, the demand side is more paid attention, yeah, in Islamic finance compared to supply side. So the demand here, it means that the people must be ensured that they have the capacity to purchase goods and services, and also the entrepreneur, they are able to produce goods and services. So the concerns that focus on real sectors here, unfortunately, is not followed by how to measure, yeah, the real returns. Yeah. Over the last few years, when I was having internship in Central Bank of Indonesia, some of the officers of certain banks, they were at the moment thinking on structuring the Islamic financial returns. Yeah. So sorry, Islamic real returns, or real returns for Islamic banks, for example. But the problem is when we create the return that comply with Islamic finance, they still confusing because of the instrument that used is still based on the ribawi instruments or usury instruments. Yeah, namely the money itself, yeah, and also the interest rate still there. They are still dominating the instruments in this financial systems. So therefore, until now, the real returns that they are thinking still under research, yeah, under discussions, yeah. And in the end of the day, they come up with the solution or idea how Islamic finance just focus on the creation of the goods and services or the real activities. Yeah. So the concern right now is how to focus on the real activities and producing the real things. Yeah. Therefore, the monetary instrument that created here must also in line how to create more real activities. If you mention whatever instrument that you have, Wakaf, Sukuk, Islamic Bank, they must focus on real sectors, not focus on the financial, just financial per se, yeah, or financial returns. So if you talk about the benchmark, I guess the benchmark here must be put in the context. I mean that how we deal with the time value of money, how we deal first with the price of money in terms of interest rates. So how we settle this one first. But it is quite difficult, by the way. Yeah, even Dr. Kamula, when studying at the UIA or IUM, discussing with Prof. Kamil very hard. Yeah, and somehow our understanding is quite hard also to understand Prof. Kamil. Yeah, but in the end of the day, the people just thinking right now how to make Islamic finance or Islamic economics and finance can promote and accelerate the real sector's development. So that one, but this what that I can share with you.
Maybe I will add one more point.
Yes,
as you
please.
mentioned, Dr. Dimas, it also goes to the monetary system, which is ribawi in nature itself. As long as we accept US dollar as our international reserve currency, dominant international reserve currency, and of course, we will not be able to have our own pure benchmark. Even when you talk about gold, okay, we have gold, which is non-ribawi. I mean, it's not a riba bearing. I mean, it's of course ribawi item, but as a monetary system, when Prof. Kamil was talking about just monetary system, bringing gold, going back to the gold standard, but still today, when you talk about gold, it's again priced in USD. So you have gold, which is priced in USD. So even the benchmark for the currency in history with intrinsic value, it's like, because in prophetic time, gold was gold, yani gold dinar was gold dinar. It has its own value. But today, when we value even gold, we value it with US dollars. So this is another problem. So we cannot go to the pure Islamic system, riba-free, where we don't have any benchmark while we are in this monetary system. So it goes back to monetary economics. Yes, Serjan.
Yeah,
And
Serjan.
please, our students, Indonesian students, and I guess we have students here coming next year to next semester, I mean, to Turkey, right? Inshallah.
So, doctor, by the way, talking about the students,
Yeah.
you mentioned about 5 students.
Yes.
Are they in this group? Like in
Yes,
this,
they are in
chat?
this group.
This okay. So, please inform me earlier, so I can arrange all the things along the way, yeah, so that you don't have any problem when you are arriving to Indonesia, in particular in Yogyakarta. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Dimas.
How many sisters and brothers, doctor, that you
Uh,
plan?
Because they will sit for English exam, and coming week they have midterms. After midterms, they will have their English exam, English placement test. So according to the results of our English KEPT, which is Karatai English placement test, we will select. But they are from this class.
Oh, okay, I guess that, doctor, don't put so high in terms of English capacity. So the ultimate goal is how to learn each other. Yeah. So don't make because of English is not that good. So we have to appreciate the student who are going to Indonesia.
Okay.
Maybe they want to visit, and maybe you can go with them as well.
We are planning, inshallah, Dr. Dimas.
And even myself also, I was discussing with my head department and my dean yesterday. Professor, how if we plan to go to Turkey next semester, because so many students will be coming here, so and our student also will be sent there. So how if we get the student until they reach the Kanata University safely, but they're still under discussing.
That will be very nice, Dr. Dimas. Maybe we do same. We bring you our students. We bring you our students. You bring us your students.
Yeah. So we have a reason then, doctor, why we should go to Turkey, because we should guide and ensure our students safely arrive there.
Tamam. Çocuklar duydunuz mu? İngilizce çok önemli değil diyor Dr. Dimas. Önemli olan gelsinler. Hatta biz kendimiz sizi götürüp teslim edeceğiz. Dr. Dimas da kendi öğrencileri götürüp teslim edecek. Short translation. Yes, brother Serjan. Floor is yours.
Okay, Serjan, please.
You hear me?
Yes.
Firstly, I want to say thank you for your explain. My question is about general Islamic finance. Should we use Islamic finance naming? What do you think about this? For example, in our country, we have a conventional systems, but the name is not Islamic. For example, Murabaha, like Mudaraba, it is important for general.
Thank you, Serjan. This is the issue as well. Even last time, our former vice president 5 years ago, he suggested how if we replace the name of Mudaroba and Musyarakah as the profit and loss sharing. So we don't use the Arabic name. Yeah. Even bank Syariah, Islamic banks don't use Syariah, but use Islamic profit and loss sharing banks. Like that. So
went a step ahead us. Not participation, but profit and loss sharing bank. Very interesting.
So how to make the name here not quite close to the one particular religious belief, but here, Serjan, somehow we need identity, we need uniqueness, so if you stay in Turkey and the behavior of ourselves here is not characterized by the Islamic values, so then the people will be difficult to identify ourselves. So Dr. Kamula is Muslim because she wearing a cover hijab. Yeah, so we know then Dr. Kamula Muslim. Yeah, so so this is just the simple illustration how we identify easily what is the essence of particular institutions. What the difference then? Even though we know that in practice there are so many issues. Yeah, in practice so many issues, because all in all, the Islamic banks or Islamic institution will be run by the various background of human beings. Yeah, and they come from different backgrounds, not only Islamic background. They come from maybe not from Islamic institution, but maybe from conventional institutions. But they have a spirit. They have a spirit and intentions to promote Islamic banks or Islamic economics. So in practice, yeah, I guess you may be quite worried, yeah, if we put the Islam there, so the responsibility will be high because we have to responsible with Islamic terms. But at least by taking the Islamic names or Islamic term there, the spirit of the people that struggling with that names will be continuously struggling to comply with these values. So the issue here is how to make the people that supporting these Islamic banks are moving to the values, the behavior that closer and closer to the Islamic values. That one, Zizan. You have any response, please?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dimas. This one actually quite a debate, even among the scholars, established scholars themselves, like how we should call the bank. Is it because it should be ethical bank? Is it should be Islamic bank? I attended one seminar in Azerbaijan, because Azerbaijan is a country which is establishing their Islamic financial system, and the discussion was around how to name. Should we which country to take as a model? Should we go take the model of Malaysia, call our banking system Islamic banks, or Turkish model, which is participation bank, like in Indonesia you call Sharia bank, but they decided to stick to the one name because, as you mentioned, Dr. Dimas, having common name is very good for identity. So the customer knows, he's not confused. He knows that, okay, he's dealing with Islamic bank, like there, like here. So it's very important to have identity. I agree with that. So like, because in Turkey we have secular constitution, I think the debates was around name, so they prefer not to use Islamic, but personally for me, participation bank do not reflects the real nature fully of Islamic bank. It's not just participation, because we sometimes we cannot call Islamic financial system as Islamic financial system, so we call it faizsiz finans sistemi, which is translated as riba-free financial system or interest-free financial system. No, Islamic finance is more than interest-free. Yes, interest is prohibited, yes, but it's not the only factor which is prohibited. We have any other factors as well. That's why, unfortunately, we cannot use this term, but I think it's just for time being, and it will be changed.
So in Turkey, the names of Islamic bank is Islamic bank, doctor?
No, we cannot use word Islamic bank because, you know, like as I mentioned, our constitution is secular. Where you have to
what the name of your institution there? Participation bank.
Participation bank. Katılım bankası. Katılım means to participate, katılmak. So it's coming from katılmak. Basically, as you mentioned, for profit and loss, you are participating in profit and loss. So the name is given Katılım bankası, not Islamic, participation bank. We don't use word Islam. And even for Islamic financial system, we use term faizsiz finans sistemi, which is again like interest-free financial system. Now, for example, our TKBB, Association of Islamic Banks of Turkey, they are publishing their own standards. And these standards are called faizsiz finans standartları, which is interest-free finance standards. Again, it's very limited name, very much. It's limiting Islamic finance to the extent that it's only riba-free. No, we have also other factors such as it should be gharar-free. There shouldn't be any unethical activities. It's not only about prohibiting riba. It's more than that. It's a more larger concept. But again, it's time being. See, sometimes in countries, you are limited with the freedom to name as you want. Because in Malaysia, in Indonesia, you don't have this problem. Like if we want to call it Sharia bank, I don't know what will be reaction of people. Okay, any other questions? My dear students, our dear students from Indonesia.
Brother Rafiq, you have any questions?
Necmettin Hocam here with us. Hocam burada mısınız? Duyuyor musunuz bizi? Necmettin Güney is our lecturer, visiting lecturer. He is also associate professor in Necmettin University. Hocam, buyurun ya.
Welcome, doctor.
I'm listening. Sorry, my home is not very suitable now, so I silence. The baby was crying, etc.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, nice to see you, doctor. Nice to know you, doctor. Wish to see you one day in Turkey or Indonesia.
Inshallah, in Konya or Indonesia, I would like to meet you, doctor.
Amin, amin. Inshallah, doctor. Thank you very much.
Teşekkürler hocam. Teşekkür ederiz. Tamam. Çocuklar sorunuz yok mu? No questions, my dear students. That's it. İnanamıyorum.
I guess they are going to prepare the breakfast after the iftar.
We have still 3.5 hours until iftar. Actually, Aynur, no question. Fadimana, Zehra Nur Köse, Yasin, Dilruba, Ali, sorunu sorabilirsin.
Ali here, the microphone is trouble also always, doctor. So
really?
our silence when we have a class because the microphone is not that good. But I don't know today. I think you have repair your microphone, Ali. Please, Ali. I haven't hear your voice, Ali.
Ali, you should talk. Please, can you speak out? Evet, buyur. Please. No, cannot. So is it problem? First time, I know. Because now our class is face to face. Actually, Ali is asking this question. Doctor, what do you think about the relationship between Sukuk al-Ijara with Esham and money foundations in Ottoman Empire? Is this special purpose vehicles resemble non-profit trust? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, the question is very difficult.
Actually, it's Sukuk al-Ijara with Esham. Esham is type of certificates which Professor Dr. Murat Çizakça mentioned in a lot of his books as a Sukuk. For him, it was a type of Sukuk because during Ottoman, it was certificates issued by the government, by the state, to finance their deficit. So how it works? Anyone who wants to explain how it works, Esham? Have you heard about Esham, Dr. Dimas? Because it's something from...
yeah. Therefore, I'm quite strange with the name.
It was actually, it is certificates which with underlying asset, and underlying asset is financial. You can collect taxes, mostly like taxes on tobacco products, customs on tobacco products, which are collectible next year. So they are selling the right. It is a financial right. The underlying asset is financial right, which enables the holder of the certificate to redeem or to collect the customs, the taxes on tobacco next year. So this was the way the government was financing its deficit. And Ali is asking what is the link between Sukuk al-Ijara with Isham? Because Sukuk al-Ijara is it's different type of Sukuk, right? The underlying asset is different. It's mainly it's property or real estate, but in this case, we have the financial right as the underlying asset in Isham. Doctor, anything you want to add to this question?
Yeah, I guess whatever names that Ali asking and sister and brothers here discussing about the Sukuk, yeah. This one just the way how to promote the rule of Islamic finance to be more productive into productive activities. Yeah. So in the end of the day, we wanted to make the real activities is faster compared to the monetary sectors. Yeah, because in the current world, you see that the inflation almost the monetary phenomenon. We cannot avoid, we cannot run away from the inflations, but we just only mitigate the inflation rate. So the one way how to combat the inflation is how to promote the real sectors growing faster compared to the monetary sectors. And Islamic finance try to bridge to immediate these gaps or these problems by putting the rule of these Islamic instruments, Sukuk, Islamic banking, yeah, takaful and others, so that the people that connected with this instrument can benefit it more. And in the end of the day, the productivity of the people will increase, and the prosperity in the end of the day will also promoted. Yeah, and also Dr. Kamula mentioned in the beginning that because we are living in the ribawi system, not Islamic monetary system, so that the system is inherently unstable. Yeah, so the system is inherently unstable. So because this inherently unstable, so that we as the small community, I may say like that, yeah, because only 5-6% compared to conventional counterparts. So we just try to minimize the bad effects. Yeah. So if we can minimize the bad effect, then hopefully the benefit will be maybe getting better and better. Because in Islam, we have to more focus on the mudarat first compared to the benefit. So we have to mitigate the mudarat or the bad things compared to the good things. Yeah. So that one perhaps maybe must also my closing remarks for this humble discussions on the behalf of the International Program for Islamic Economics and Finance, Department of Economics, Universitas Muhammadiyah Jakarta. I would like to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to my respected friends, Dr. Kamula, and also Dr. Nemedin, yeah, and also all my students here, either from Turkey, from Indonesia, who have attended these discussions. I know that my discussion is not that good, but hopefully we can have maybe another discussion in the future. And you are most welcome to Indonesia next semester, inshallah. And please inform us earlier when you are going to Indonesia, so that we can arrange all the things clearly in advance. And also hopefully our students as well can go to Turkey next semester as the reciprocal, as I with Dr. Kamula agreed upon. So, and one day in the end of the day we can meet physically, and we can get in touch, discuss, and one day I can go to your class, Dr. Kamula can go into our class, directly face to face, so that we can get so many activities over there.
Inshallah.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you very much for your time. As Karakay University, Department of Islamic Economics and Finance, we also appreciate a lot your efforts, and we really enjoy your presentation. It was very good, and we learn in general about very interesting facts on Sukuk market and Islamic finance in Indonesia. And inshallah, my students also looking forward to go. They're really looking forward, doctor. So inshallah, and we will welcome your students here. We will also go to Istanbul, fetch them, bring to Konya, and take a very good care. Okay, thank you very much, and assalamu alaikum. See you inshallah in coming programs. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, doctor. Let me to leave.
Yes.
Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum salam.